Greetings, race fans, motorsport lovers, and welcome to Dakar 2021, the Southern African influence. A little bit different, something a little bit out of the ordinary. We know that bikers are nuts. We know that they are crazy. We know that when they do moto, they are even more crazier. So Steffi Vetter from the Southern African Dakar group, sitting somewhere on the southern edge of this magnificent continent of ours, next to the sea. Steffi, you had this crazy idea. Thank you very much for joining us. Andrew Horn, you're going to capture questions, answers, and queries. So all you people who are the million viewers that we've got, thank you very much for joining us. If you've got questions for our panel that Steffi Vetter is going to introduce, put them in the comments and it will come up. So without much further ado, to our round panel of Dakar alumni. Steffi, introduce the crazies.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is so fantastic to see you all, and thank you for all joining us. Guys, girls, we have got such an incredible bunch here. I always feel like I've brought some of my Dakar family into like a little safe place that we can chat to. So, Jerry van der Bijl, who are you? When did you do the Dakar?
Hi, Stevie. Thank you very much for including me in this. I raced Dakar in 2018. I was 50 years old at the time, and I managed to make it to the finish line, which is quite a feat. So
that's amazing. And then we've got Graham Sharp from Zimbabwe. Graham, you also managed to finish the Dakar on a motorbike, the first Zimbabwean to do so. What year was that?
Yeah, Steffi, last year, and hopefully not the last Zimbabwean to have that opportunity. But yeah, really nice to be following along this year.
So good to have you here, Donovan van der Langenberg and Malamoto, our first Malamoto that we're going to chat to. Donnie, tell everybody about your history with the Dakar.
Hi, Steffi. Thanks for having me, Raceday TV. Yeah, I went along with Jerry in 2018. I was crazy enough to attempt it Malamoto on the first attempt. It was much harder than I anticipated, but I've managed to end the rally on a good note and the buck bit, and yeah, we'll see if we get there again.
It's amazing. No introduction needed to the next guest on our panel, Kenny Gilbert. Kenny, welcome. It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you looking fit. Tell everybody about what year you were in and how you found it. We're going to come back to you as well. Ken, hello.
Hi, Steffi. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I did my first Dakar in 2019 in Peru. Yeah, what an experience. First time I've really ridden dunes. But yeah, what an awesome experience, and I've unfortunately not been back since due to injuries. But yeah, my goal is set on 2022, and yeah, it's great to follow it this year.
It's so good to have you here. And then last but not least, the nuttiest of us all, the Macadamia nut farmer, Stuart Gregory, who's had the good fortune of also being both in South America and in Saudi. Hi, Stuart.
Yeah, Steph. Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, thanks for having us on Raceday TV. So yeah, I've been at Dakar twice. I did 2019, and unfortunately, engine broke 2 days before the end, and I thought I'd never do it again. And in 2020 last year, I finished Malamoto. I swore I'd win, and as you can see behind me, another rally bike, and plans to go back. And as Donnie has said, once the bike's it's in you, and you make any plan you can to get back. So yeah, I look forward to going back in the future.
All of you guys have got the same sickness, that same disease, that petrol in the veins. Once this racing first of all, and then particularly Dakar gets its hooks and claws into you, you're screwed. What is it about the event that just all of you, given half a chance, would drop everything and go? What's the allure of this fantastic event?
Jump in at any time, guys.
Anyway, Feel free. This is
Yeah,
your forum.
Look, Dakar is an adventure, but I find really difficult about the Dakar is trying to race it and go as fast as you can. You know, there's so many variables with terrain and road books and obviously and mechanicals. Yeah, I think everyone thrives. Maybe you can almost say to suffer, but yeah, it's just such a challenge to actually finish every day. Even one day alone at Dakar just to finish a stage is a feat on its own. So I think, yeah, everyone, well, myself, I just love the challenge and just try and better myself. And yeah, it's just such a great feeling to finish it.
Jerry, what's
I
your
would
take
say it's also
on that?
Kenny raced Dakar to go as fast as possibly could. I didn't do that. My objective was purely to see if I can make it through and get to the end successfully. That was the only challenge that I had. And I think to try and explain, Colin, what it is that gets under your skin is, you know, when you're racing a Dakar, you go through a massive roller coaster of every single emotion every single day. So you go through total elation, totally terrified, expecting to die, screaming in your helmet from joy, but then totally terrified 5 minutes later. All those emotions push you so far outside your comfort zone, and that's really, I think, what it is that makes us all want to go back and do it again and again, because it's just so next level.
And I think, you know, Jerry, at 50, and it's a mega achievement for you youngsters at 50. I mean, I think that's super young to have finished it. And you were lucky enough to do South American race, where not only are you guys as riders absolutely crazy, but the fans, the South American fans, are complete nutters. And you know, going into Lima for kilometers, 8, 9, 10 deep, and I think that it gives the South American Dakars a flavor, and now the better organization of the Saudi or better facilities of the Saudi Dakar gives it a different kind of flavor.
You know, South America, when we rode into, Johnny, you remember when you rode into Bolivia for just before the race day, the road was lined with people for 40 kilometers. So think about that. For 40 kilometers, the road, both sides, just people. And they're all just cheering you on. They don't know who you are, doesn't matter, but they are all cheering you for 40 kilometers. It was absolutely mind-blowing. At the finish, there was 1.2 million people physically on site. You know, you can't get that in Saudi Arabia. That's not going to be possible. So South America was special, hey?
Don, how did you find South America? Obviously, you had a different take on it as well. You were in the Malamoto class. Something happened on the start podium.
Yeah, before we got to the start, I mean, we got there. I was part of I bought into the Bass truck team as well. I had my bike from them to prepare it. Initially, I wanted to do the Malamoto on my own design or my own rally bike, and then I decided at the end, after some friends told me it's a better way to just get the right bike. I bought into the Bass truck team, and they provided me with a rally bike. And then I traveled with Willem de Tooy and Jerry from South Africa. And when we got there, I was like tag along playing with their team, and their truck was there, and they were all set up. And then I went to Bart, and I'm like, "Where's my bike?" He's like, "What do you mean, where's your bike?" He says, "Your Malamoto." And then I realized I had to go fetch my own bike out of the harbor, which was on the other side of Lima, and I had to go on my own. I couldn't speak the language, and that was the troubles I had. And then after putting the bike through scrutineering, I left all my luggage with the Malamoto truck. And then when the evening before the start, I went to go get my racing gear, and the truck has left. So I went over the start line in Willem de Tooy's sweatpants and a t-shirt. So my Dakar over the podium wasn't that great. It started nerve-wracking. But once you're in the zone of being a hero to a lot of people supporting the event, it makes the whole game, and that's probably the one thing that pulled me back to the Dakar is being part of the organization. Is a race this big being managed in a very professional way. It's a big event, so nobody feels out of place. It's there's a lot happening, but I mean it's so well organized and it makes it easy to go anywhere. If you need this or you need that, and that's special. I mean, we were part of the Malamoto, the original Moto, what's it? The originals by Moto, and I mean they made it so easy for us. The first week for me in the dunes was like having a holiday with my friends and just go racing in the dunes. Where it gets difficult is on the second week when the stages gets longer, and it started raining and there's no support. I mean, Willem and them and Jerry, I was working on my bike at some stages where they came past me and saying, going for dinner. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be there in half an hour. And then an hour later, they come past me with a couple of muffins and say, Donnie, you haven't been there. Here's something to eat. So being part of the originals group is quite difficult. But going through the streets with all the people, you feel like a winner every time. So that's very special. And I think that's what South America made it so special for us that went in 2018.
Graham,
Stuart.
I want to go across to you now. I'm sorry to jump in, Colin. Graham, you did Saudi. So we've had a South America look, and we're going to then go to Stuart because Stuart has done both.
Yeah.
Graham, you intimated that there might be another Dakar on the cards. Is it in your blood? You're done.
Yeah, I think, Steffi, thanks. I think, everyone's got their shit back and bites again. I think, one of my big sort of goals was to make sure that I wasn't the last Zimbabwean with the opportunity. So, we've got together. I won't share too many details now, but we got together towards the end of last year, and we've got a few ideas and some really cool plans in place, which should come live pretty soon. But I think just to have that camaraderie and to give an opportunity to another couple of Zimbabweans to share that same experience, because with the history of Zimbabwe over the last 20 years, the opportunity like Dakar was even further flung from my mind. But it is possible, and if someone like myself, just a simple farm chap who had a dream, can do it, then if it's another message of encouragement to other Zimbabweans, then if I can get involved in any way to make that happen, then that's really what I want to do.
And Stuart, you've been to South America and to Saudi. How is it different?
Yeah, it's completely different. As my other guys, I get to go through a whole bunch of countries. When I did South America, it was only Peru. It wasn't the greatest conditions. If it stayed in Peru, I don't think I would ever back. It wasn't a great place to ride, but it was very warm and millions of people. At the start, there'd probably be 300,000-400,000 people at the podium. And I remember saying, I think to Kenny or to someone, I felt like Justin Bieber. You'd walk into your bar. People would want photos with you, and people would literally throw their had to catch their photo of you with their child. And then we go across to Saudi, and it was completely opposite. You rode up on the start podium, and I could see my wife in the crowd, and there were probably 30 other people. So it was from one extreme to the other. But in my opinion, the riding conditions are better in Saudi. I think Saudi makes for a better race. I think we've seen a good race going on right now. A good vary of terrain. Last year, all for the cold. I literally had nothing. I literally closed out of their bag. I was really, really cold. So I wasn't prepared for. But in my opinion, Morocco. I've been fortunate to race in Morocco once, like North Africa. And in my opinion, it makes for a better Dakar for us from South Africa and Southern Africa. It's much easier to get to. Logistically wise, it's easier. Timing wise, for you guys at home to follow is easier. So I really see ups on Saudi, and I'm pretty happy to go back.
One of the other things about Saudi, the race in Saudi, is the communications in general, the infrastructure's a touch better than it was in South America. The year I was with Toyota and we went, from Argentina, Peru, up that way, the level of chopping and changing, yes, it's great that you've got Wi-Fi at every single garage that you pass through, but trying to do interviews like this, we've been speaking to people in the bivouac today. It's been absolutely magic. And I think that we need to come to terms with this is where it is, and we're going to live with it. And having said that, the level of interest and support within South Africa, and, Kenny, you mentioned that, not Kenny, who was it? I forget, Graham, about bringing just having some influence of bringing another Zimbabwean, Southern African, Botswanan, another rider, letting people know that it is possible, is if you want it enough, it can be done. And if normal guys not normal guys, you guys are all superheroes in my mind, that you can have a normal person become a superhero by finishing Dakar. Guys, it's your forum. You chat.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Colin. Carry on.
No. It all starts with a dream, I think, for all of us. And then once you go over the start line, I mean, there's a lot of people talking Dakar. But for me, as it started off with a once-off dream, once you cross the finish line, you want to share the experience with everybody. Now, there's a whole group of rally guys here in South Africa that everybody, there's a lot of people that can do it, but doesn't have first they don't put probably down on paper that they want to do it or commit to it, but it's the whole financial thing about it. And from my side, and I did it purely, I'm not a company owner or a South African champion in racing. I'm just the average Joe with a dream adventure rider. And what I wanted to show was that anybody can do it. And usually when people put their heads down to commit and they have fundraisers, the people come along and they support these things, which makes it even great, because that's allowed most of us, all of us had some sort of fundraiser helping with the financial side of it to get to Dakar. So all of us wanted to show that it's possible for anybody to go do it.
I don't think that it's easy for anyone to ever reach the start line of a Dakar. In fact, getting to the start line is probably the most difficult challenge anyone can take on. It's super, super difficult to get to the start. From the training, from the money, from the support, from the rest of your life. Your real life doesn't give you a break. You still have to work. You still have to take care of your family. You still have to do all those things. But you also have to be able to find training time. 6 days a week you're training flat out. But you also know that you're going to do this event, and there's a good chance that you're not going to come home. You could just die while doing it. And you throw all those things into the hat, it suddenly becomes very difficult for people to make the decision to do it. The guys that do, I think it's totally worth it, but it's really hard to make the decision to go.
Kenny, in terms of making that decision, and I think that all of you ultimately have got the desire to go back, what is the thing that does the trip that says, I am going to Dakar 2022, and full stop, and then you switch into focused mode? What is that, the decision that makes it?
Yeah, Dakar's, like Donnie says, it needs to be a dream of yours first of all, and then as Gerry says, the the biggest challenge to Dakar is actually getting there, you know. But I think you just got to actually in 2017, myself and Ross Branch were discussing actually going to Dakar, and then obviously 17 came, and then 18 was on us, and then 17 Dakar happened, and then myself, Ross, and Stuart made the trip to Peru to actually just see how Dakar ran and everything like that. And then once we were there, we just saw how big the race was, and the infrastructure is actually incredible. You know, obviously Dakar is a lot of money, but it's nice to have been there and actually see where the money goes to. You know, yeah, it's just I wanted to do. So then we did Dakar 19, and it was incredible. It was a huge experience, as like Peru was 100% sand, so I did find it difficult, as there wasn't very much variety to terrain. Where I believe I prefer the rocky, more hard pack stuff, which brings me to I really want to do Saudi Arabia. It looks like the guys are killing it over there. All the Southern African racers, from the cars and the bikes, they're actually doing incredible. But yeah, it's just I would love to be a part of those racers as well, and look forward to 2022.
Everybody that we've spoken to who's ever done an event and who's not there has got this itch, this need, the fire inside. Once it's lit, we screwed. Andrew, and proper FOMO. But Andrew, you've got a comment. If you press the button to unmute your mic, then the world can hear you.
We have some technical issues
here.
Go,
Andrew, go.
Stuart Gregory said the other night that he can't wait to go back because it's 2 weeks of camping in the dunes with his mates. And on that note, how much of it is the race and how much of it is the camaraderie and the camping with your mates in the desert? How, to me, it seems so much more about the friendships made and everything built, and the race all secondary. You look at James Alexander trekking through the desert and finding tea with a bunch of guys camping in the dunes. That sort of thing. I mean, how much of the race does become about that?
I would say particularly, guys.
Keep going, Jerry.
Okay. I think 80% of the event is camaraderie. The racers like the Kennys and the Rosses, those guys, it's a different story. They are all about going as fast as they possibly can. For the rest of us that are riding to try and make it to the finish, every person that gets stuck or gets broken, you stop and you help because and you pay it forward because you know that tomorrow, the day after, you're gonna have a problem and someone else is gonna stop and help you. That camaraderie all day, every single day in the dunes, and then every night while you're having dinner, and every morning while you're trying to get to the start, and riding the liaisons together, all of that, that's what Dakar is. And that's the part that is so addictive because you want to be part of that every year,
Stuart, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with what Jerry's saying now, particularly in the original class. Stuck there, it's pretty tough. You camping back of the truck in a pop-up tent and working on your bikes, and it's really a close-knit group of guys because you know how tough it's been for you and the fellow guys that are there. So not only is it's a challenge for us in Southern Africa, I think it's a challenge for anyone in the world to get to Dakar. It's the biggest race in the entire world, and those guys are just like us with massive dreams and wanting to go. Yeah, so, I think together just again, I think the other guys agree that I had this in my head for many years, and eventually I got to the point where I said next year I must go, and that never came. And eventually I put the peg in the sand and committed to go after going with Ross and Kenny to have a look, and So for the listeners out there, it's possible we can do it. And I've had a few guys recently this week about costs and understanding. Reach out to us on the forum here or other guys that have been, and we can help you out there. It's not impossible. You can get there. It's a cheap. You look at James. James is he's getting his money at the race. Yeah, it's achievable for people. So,
I think
yeah, so put your yarn to it. Put a peg in the muscle.
Stuart, we're battling a little bit with your connection that's coming and going and. But in terms of that camaraderie, Graham, I want to talk to you about the time you look at Ross and how well he's doing now, and you towed him.
Yeah,
tell us about that.
Yeah, last year, I think the stage before Raceday, Ross obviously had that tyre problem that he spoke of, or we were talking about just now. So I think between Paul Wilson and Kirsten and another Colombian rider, they towed Ross to the end, to the finish. And then by the time I got to the end of the special, I saw what I thought was Ross on the side of the road, and I just flew past because I knew he had been running in the top. So I thought, there's no ways that's Ross. Someone's obviously picked up his jacket. I was kind of a bit tired and fatigued, wasn't concentrating. But then I thought, no, hang on, maybe it is Ross. So I turned around. And yeah, long story short, he said, Brew, can you tow me? So I said, we got 176 Ks and it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, no, but I got to get in. So yeah, long story short, Ross's dad was there and a couple of other people. Found a couple of pieces of tie-down strap and a rope and something off the back of a camel saddle or something, and we tied with all these ropey knots together. And it was the most shady-looking African toe strap I've ever seen. But yeah, one peg to the other, and then I just remember Ross shouting, saying, "Right, Brew, let's hit it!" And yeah, 176 Ks into Riyadh in that traffic at like 10 to 7. My cutoff was, or Ross's cutoff was, I think he had like 3 or 4 minutes. But yeah, it was probably one of the most sketchy parts of my Dakar was towing Ross in that 6-lane Riyadh traffic. People trying to take video footage. And at one stage, a Mazda or a Toyota sedan car pulled in and didn't know that we were towing because the visibility was so bad. And the car actually pulled in onto the tow rope, and my bike kind of lurched up in the bonnet of the car. And all I had visions was the press in South Africa saying 2 Southern African riders smashed on the motorway. So it was pretty nerve-wracking, but yeah, we got in and 2 minutes to spare, and Ross could stay in the race. And at that stage, I was going to make sure I wasn't going to leave him out there. But that's sort of the camaraderie that you speak of, I guess. That I just said to Ross, "Are you mad? You trust me with your life?" So he said, "Straight, let's go." So yeah, amazing experience.
Unbelievable, that. But there very definitely are two races within the one race. Those who are people who are riding the race mainly for an experience, and then nutters like you, Kenny, who are going for a proper result. And do you find that same level of camaraderie at the sharp end of the field, or is it a little bit more cutthroatish?
Yeah, look, everyone is friendly to each other, and we're all there trying to do our best, but yeah, I would definitely say there is camaraderie amongst the top riders as well. But I think it's more when you are riding together, then you kind of like almost connect, and then you kind of like help each other in that group, if you could say. And then obviously as the race goes on, your results change every day. So you're always seeing different people and different competitors every day. But yeah, I would say the camaraderie is definitely there. We're all out there obviously to do our best, but yeah, the respect's there, and yeah, it's really good to see.
Steffi, you've been very quiet, which is kind of unusual for you. So about time you spoke up, Steffi.
You know what it is? I'm just so loving listening to all these stories. You don't understand. I never get to meet anybody. I work with everybody for years, but I don't actually ever get to meet them. But Jerry, I want to ask you, how did the Dakar change your life?
Sure, Steffi. Nothing after Dakar is the same as it was before. It affects you so totally, so totally. Actually, that the stuff used to scare you, you used to get afraid of or worried about. Those things they disappear. Because they're actually so insignificant in terms of what's really. I suppose you learn the limitations to an extent, and the stuff that used to scare you don't anymore. So you don't come back the same. It's impossible.
Do you think that
Did
it's
you think it would be so hard, Jerry?
Sorry, Steffi, again.
Did you think it would be so hard?
Okay, you're talking about camaraderie, so I'll try and answer your question for you in two ways. Firstly, no, it was 100% more difficult than I expected it to be. It was way, way more difficult. But from a camaraderie perspective, Donnie, today is race day for Dakar 2021. And Donnie and I spent race day together in 2018. The morning of that race day, we went down for breakfast together. And it was incredibly emotional that morning because both of us were in tears. You remember?
Yeah, Jerry, you wanted to. Jerry was at a stage where he wanted to quit because he spent a night in the dunes, and he was on the limit of getting stopped by the organization to continue. And I said to him, I was crying with him, and I said to him, Jerry, you can't stop now. I mean, you just can't. We didn't come here to throw in the towel. Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult time for him. But I mean, it was difficult for me to see someone that came this far and wanting to quit, and I couldn't accept it. So I had some harsh words with him, and it worked, and he made it to the end. And we even joked in the beginning, and Jerry said all he wanted to do is finish. And I said to him, even if it's last, he said yes, even if it's last, and he finished last.
Yes.
But Jerry made it. That's all. My medal and his medal looks exactly the same.
And that bond
and
that
we
the
all
two
were
of you,
on our.
that bond at that race day breakfast, where you forced each other or had that bond that became there. Does it still endure today? And you guys are still together, tied together?
I'll never forget that day.
It's quite emotional for you
one
even
of those
now,
things
hey?
to the Dakar. Yeah.
Very emotional.
No,
man.
there's these little things on your Dakar route that will always stick. And that was one of it. That and the first lost ticket back home from South America was the highlight.
That day came
Andrew,
after
you've got a comment.
So on that day came after I was on the bike for 36 hours with no food, no sleep. So I ran 2 stages in one with, literally on the bike for 36 hours. And it was nothing. That was super, super tough. So what James is going through at the moment, the day that he had yesterday and the day before that, yes, I feel for him, because I know what he's going through. And I listen to his little videos and I think, geez, dude, just hang in there. You've got to just hang in there.
Do you think that James has found somebody like Donnie who can push him through?
I really hope so for his sake.
Because
I think James got. I think Ross has taken him under his wing. I think we got the Kalahari Ferrari and the Kalahari Matala, and I think Ross is giving some encouragement there. And I'm sure Ross wants to see him on the podium at the finish.
Unbelievable.
Right, Stuart.
Horndog, you've got something you wanted to say?
I think just a quick comment before I get to a question is I think James Alexander's problems are only just beginning, because I think he's become a bit of a social media sensation, and he's got to manage all of that when he gets back from Dakar. But a question from Johannes Etzebeth asking, maybe we can sort of go through the list as we go. Everybody can chip in. What does it cost as a privateer on a bike to go and actually do this? You know, when you guys talk about raising the funds and actually getting to the start line, can you give our viewers an idea?
From my side, it's an entry and a bike. The rest you can put on a credit card. That's a too big thing.
How
The
strong
rest you
is your
can put on a
credit
credit
card?
Nah, I mean, if you want to go Malamoto, it's a bike and the entry. So entry for 2022. Stuart's got a bike, so we just need to negotiate something here. But I mean, it's the entry and the bike.
Okay, so
For Kenny,
talk
it's
us
a
through
bit
some
different.
numbers.
For Graham and Jerry, it's a bit different because they had more sense than us when we applied for this thing. So I think the cost, I don't know what it costs to run with the team.
Yeah,
I
we
think
managed
the
our
entry
credit
fee
card
for the
more.
bike's about 7,000 euros at the moment.
I think
Yeah, I think
Good, go for it.
for
you have to qualify an event. I think that if you
Just talking about that qualifying event, that's the Kalahari Rally that's around the first week of September.
No, for me it was Morocco. We had to race Mazuga to qualify.
Mazuga and Rally de Morocco.
I did
And
Mizuga.
racing Mazuga is quite expensive in its own right,
Yeah.
because you have to obviously get there. You have to rent a bike. You can't do it Malimoto like Donnie did. You have to be a part of the team. So it's expensive, but if you can't do that, then you can save the money and not go to Dakar. I think that's really the sensible thing to do, to go and do one of those international events so you can really feel what it's all about before you fully commit. But in terms of cost, just for Andrew, for your guest, the cost actually isn't the entry. The cost is everything that you go through for the year and the 2 years prior to your Dakar start line. All the stuff you have to say no to, all the events you can't go to, all the training you have to do, all the training bikes you have to have, all the time that you sacrifice. That's the real cost.
Okay,
but
Kenny, do
maybe
you
just
want
throw
to
it
give yours?
Yeah, I
Kenny.
would say it cost. We were looking at a budget to do all the things you guys are saying, like going at least do or prepare or qualify. You're looking at about 1.4, and then then that's obviously you're not doing Malimoto. You're hiring a team like this to service your Dakar, which obviously, if you're going for a result, I would definitely say that's it. Malimoto is another challenge on its own, but it is a lot cheaper, so that is an option
What's a
for a
lot?
lot of guys as well.
What's a lot?
Yeah, I
Half?
think 700. Yeah, but 700, 800. Donnie and Stuart could correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, depends if you own a bike. Owning a bike works out cheaper in the long run. It's more expensive to buy. It's a big capital outlay. But yeah, my idea is to go 4 more times to Dakar. So if I can get Dakars out of this bike, that's my goal. Then it makes it affordable. It's 15,000 euros to enter. That's the entry fee. Covers quite a lot as mentioned. So that's about 300,000. At the exchange, that's 20 to 1, probably a little bit less. And then tires are probably about 40,000 plus tires and mousses, plus flying there and back and other things. Yeah, if you don't take in the cost of the bike, you could probably do it for about 400,000, I guess.
It's a lot of blooming money. So just to, just sitting and going through, if we can consolidate this discussion, without a doubt, it's an experience that is burnt into your character, into your brain, and 100% a life-changing experience. Number two, the camaraderie, the meeting of people, the belonging to a very, very exclusive club. and then that desire to want to go and do it again. I mean, those are the three things that I'm coming out, or that I'm picking out of this. You bunch of five driven nutters. It's absolutely fantastic to be able to share time with you.
Colin,
Steffi,
can I just add?
yes.
Sorry.
No,
I
carry
just
on.
think another thing about Dakar is it's quite an exposing experience. You know, once you're in the desert, it strips away all the facades and all the bullshit and all this. You know, it reveals who you are as a character. And I think in today's world where there's so much prescription and there's so much routine and blah blah, it's one of the few things, and trust the French to put it together. But it's one of those things where I think that's the appeal. You go to find out where your limit is as a character, as a man, as a woman, whatever. You know, there's something about confronting the desert and confronting yourself, which essentially is part of that DNA and adventurous spirit. And then that in turn, what Jerry said is each person there is going through that same experience of being literally pressure washed with all the bullshit of society to say, right, Graham, who are you in the desert? Let's see. Yeah. And the same pressure washer is applied to everyone, whether you're Toby Price and Sunderland and everyone, to James coming in late. But you've all got an experience that rips away all the fluff, and it actually says, right, this is who this person is. And I think that's the draw, is to go. It's got a magnetic pull to go and see who you are and to test yourself against one of the greatest challenges that a privateer can do without, being a factory rider.
And that pressure washer takes you, as you come out the other side of it brings a new understanding to yourself about how much shit you can actually go through before you think that it's getting hard. And whereas before you might have thought, well, this is tough. And that's actually bugger all compared to what you really can do. Changes you forever.
Exactly. That's why you never come back.
Never give up.
I've got goosebumps. I mean, just talking to you guys who truly are mega frickin' superstar heroes. And, we can carry on forever. But our production department is saying to us, guys, so I'm blown away. Can we go around, and I want to start, Jerry, this year's race. Highlights for you, and up until Raceday, and hopes and aspirations, or hopes and desires for this race going forward, and your commitment to yourself to go next year. Jerry, let's kick off with you.
Highlights for this year, Ink and Brett, they smashed it. They were doing so well. It's amazing how well they did. It's such a pity that they crashed out. The next one to the mix obviously is Ty and Brian. They're just special. The way they've handled this is unbelievable, and I really hope that they can hang in the end, finish off really strong. James Alexander he talks to my soul because he's me. So that's quite a highlight. But then there's Toby. Toby's my guy. He's always my guy. So I'm really hoping he's going to pull it off. Going back, we'll have to see. I would love to go back. I'd love to go again next year. But whether in this new world, this COVID world that we're living in at the moment, whether it's possible to pull all the pieces together, it's going to be a challenge, a real challenge. But we'll see.
Jerry, thank you. You're raw inside. The emotion is there. Oh, man. Respect. Big freaking respect. Donnie, highlights, what you're looking forward to?
I was actually very excited for 2021 after missing 2020 due to injury. And when they said it's going to be more technical and a bit slower, I was like pretty amped for it, because I'm not a fast. I don't like speed that much. I'm more of a technical guy. Love the sand, love the dunes. If I should race against Kenny in the rocks, I mean, go Kenny. But yeah, it's not my type of terrain. Saudi's got a bit of everything. I'll just take it a bit slower. And this year's race is I'm pretty amped in the way it's going, because it opens up the whole field. Yeah, if you're in front, you're going to struggle with navigation and reading the road book. But I mean, it puts everybody in the same place, and it's more of a consistent performance than just the fastest guys. And I think that's why Ross is doing so well as well. I'm not saying he's slow, but I mean the guys are just a little bit slower to mix it. Everybody usually there's 1 or 2 performers, and now there's 10 performers, which makes it just an awesome race. And if we're talking about going back, it's according to me it's 50-50. According to my wife, it's 10-90.
At least you're winning. At least you're winning. And I think Donnie,
yeah, so
it'd be great to see you there.
So we'll see. It's the book's not closed yet, but it's going to be a big ask if I want to go do it again.
Awesome, Stuart Gregory. Well,
it's gonna be for different reasons. So it's yeah.
Always have.
Stuart Gregory, your highlights. What you're looking forward to and 2022.
Yeah, no, my highlights without a doubt. Boy, I must have been there with Kenny and Ross. I'm good mates with them and support them both. But Ross is doing exceptionally well. Really stoked getting to him on and off a bit. Watching him on the videos, he's riding unbelievable. I think we chatted about that yesterday. Matthias Walker, even the riders are really opening their eyes to Ross and really excited. I said to him today, Rossi, I want to see you on the podium. At the end of the week, you've got 1 week to get there. So yeah, excited for that. Really excited for him. Other than that, I kind of follow them too. But I'm a biker at heart, so yeah, I'm excited for him. And 2021 plan is to be already starting to work now, trying to hopefully line up and get it installed. Year of training already. I did a 5-hour ride this morning, and we work to 2020.
Right. So we want everybody who's watching this to tell anybody that you know to buy a shit ton of macadamia nuts so that Stuart Gregory can get to Dakar 2023. Remember, macadamians are your friends, and Dakar is the goal. Graham Sharp, what's been your highlight of this year's race so far?
Yeah, I think the two ends of the spectrum, having Ross, who obviously I got to know and played a huge sort of mentorshiping role in my journey to Dakar, and certainly helped me along the way in the lead-up rallies. And then to have James at the back, who embodies the Malimoto and the amateur spirit in its true sense. So having those two spectrums, it kind of, it hits all the notes for me in terms of what a Dakar is. But yeah, just the whole Southern African thing, we're punching above our weight, the car side of things. Brian on a car with 10% of the budget or 20% of the budget of some of the bigger teams, it's holding its own. So yeah, I think the proportion of influence that you've been going on about on your 7 p.m. shows is huge, and yeah, it's just really proud, and I think the world's taking notice of Southern Africa. Yeah. Going forward for me, I think in a way, my personal quest with Dakar has been accomplished, and I got my medal and I saw it and I've experienced it, and the focus somewhat changes for me to make sure the priority is to share it with someone else. So, for me, I'll give it my absolute best to go back and ride with the other 2 guys who are planning to go, but I'll get them absolutely there for the first time before I get too concerned about going back. There's always time for me to go back, but we've got to get the first timer guys there to really sap in that experience. So, look, Zimbabwe's tough. We're kind of this mysterious place north of the Limpopo, and everything's got to get smuggled in. Our fuel's bad. Trying to get parts, they all come in with runners, and there's a premium and a charge. So, how I got to Dakar with the planning and the prep and bikes and smuggling stuff through the border, I can't even remember, but that was the biggest motivator. When I got there, I thought if a guy from Zimbabwe with the nonsense up here can get to the start line, then these guys from France know nothing about hardship, so bring it on.
That is the spirit of Dakar. You've been there, you've done that, and now you're throwing it forward to somebody else. I think it is absolutely my salute, absolute proper salute. And lastly, King Kenny, your highlights and what's going forward?
Yeah, I've got to say that they've changed the road book collections like an hour before. So I think what that does, it brings the privateers more in play now. You know, where the big professional teams or the factory teams all used to have map guides, which would help them a lot. But I feel like the guys that are usually winning aren't winning anymore, and it's more of it's more coming down to road book and a lot more variety out there. So yeah, I think the highlights is definitely our racers from home. Southern African racers are definitely killing it out there, and I think it's just great for Southern African motorsport all round. In 2022, I'm definitely going to set my goals on being on the start line, and yeah, I just give it my best, push my limits, and hope just get there and be able to do it again.
Awesome stuff. And Steffi Vetter, you are also a hero in my eyes. You managed to pull together 5 mega superstars, characters who've had their lives changed forever through Dakar and by Dakar and because of Dakar. And Steffi, I thank you very much for putting it through. But over to you, Steffi. These are your people. Talk to them.
You know what I think, you guys, each and every one of you, because I sat with Gina, I've been on Graham's group, I sat with Kenny and Nick's, Stuart, your group, Donnie, your group. You guys have changed our lives. You don't understand the effect that you've had on our lives. Oh, I'm going to cry. And Southern Africa. So thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I can't wait. I wish I could find sponsors for all of you to go back, because you so deserve to do that. Every single one of you should just be able to get on those bikes and get to Saudi and go do your thing. But let me tell you, when you do it, we're going to be with you every step of the way again. And thank you so much, guys. I can say, because I do love you all. So I really appreciate you agreeing to being here today with us on Race Day. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Andrew. Fritz and Henk, thank you so much. Guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much.
And I want to say to Jerry van der Bijl, to Graham Sharp, to Donnie van der Langenberg, to Kenny Gilbert, and to Stuart Gregory, I salute you. Raceday salutes you. Thank you very, very much for your time today. May the force be with you, and we'll see you at Dakar 2023. Cheers, guys.
Salute.
22.
Thank you.
Man, what a privilege to have 5 gentlemen 5 heroes. I've got goosies. Andrew, Steffi, that was unbelievable.
You know what I just love, Colin? I just loved hearing that heartfelt, seeing those tears in Jerry's eyes, listening to Donnie, listening to Graham's story about Ross, Stuart, it was so much knowledge, Kenny. You know, we are so privileged to have athletes like that in our country representing us on an international stage. I am so proud of all of them. I can't wait to see them back at Dakar.
Yeah, 22. That's when it's got to happen. Horn Dog, thoughts?
I think Jerry encompassed his own words in, saying you're never the same when you come back, and the emotion still lives with him. And I think that is so cool, so cool. And I mean, the love on the social media is huge. William Olivier saying, "Go guys." Johan van der Vente saying the second best part of Dakar every year is meeting the heroes when they come back. Jilly Dykes wanted to know their feelings on the tire rules, but I think
tires, navigation. It's
she also said
there are more important things to talk to with this group of people.
The other thing she came along with was the last quote she got 3 years ago for a rider with a team with some backup was 35,000 euros. So, you'd have to pay for tires and stuff on top of that. So that gives everybody a very sort of rough idea on where we are with the budgets. And then Thomas Underhay says the internal jokes and pranks along the way through the Dakar must be insane. And I think he is dead right. I think that's probably half the fun of any event like that.
I think a braai with those 5 guys in the Kalahari Desert at the Kalahari Rally can like to be a life goal and ambition. But on that note, to Steffi Vetter, who's looking so pretty. Well done. It's unbelievable. You bring a ray of sunshine, some beauty to the two of us beasts. The sun sets in the background and washes its golden rays over your face as you move on to hopefully a glass of wine. To Steffi Vetter, thank you so much for putting this together. Andrew the Horn Dog for monitoring the places where the people say. And to you, our viewers, the people who, without you, we nothing. And we do this not for us, but because we love motorsport. On that note, remember, look it up. DBAC. Have a nice weekend. See you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Cheers.